Welcome to the TikTok podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hi, friend. Okay, I've got my pom-poms here. Let's do this. Woohoo! The crowd goes wild. It is our 1 year anniversary of the TikTok podcast. Oh my goodness, how did we get here? But we did it. We did it. Okay, fun fact, it is also election day. So if there is one thing that 100% of us can agree upon, it is that it has been a wild and wonderful and exciting and exhilarating and amazing adventure this past year. So the votes are in, and we all think that the podcast should continue. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, I remember launching podcast number 1, even the intro, the one that dropped early, surprise, the intro episode. And I actually remember not being very nervous because I wasn't really thinking that it was that big of a deal because probably no one really was gonna listen. I remember shouting out to my mom and dad and Josh. And now, here we are. I'm kind of nervous. Honestly, I've had some butterflies leading up to recording this episode and sort of jotting down some notes for this episode because here we are 1 year later. By the way, I had someone tell me, do not even look at how many downloads or anybody that's listened after you've podcasted for a year. Okay, so here we are, or they said 100 episodes. I don't know, either way. But here we are a year later, 1 whole year later with 50,000 downloads on Apple Podcasts alone. And that's why I'm nervous. Uh-oh, people really are listening. And we have a very vibrant YouTube community too. Yeah, so you guys are actually listening. So on that note, here's what I want to do. I want to do a couple of thank yous. I want to do some shout outs, a little bit of reflection, a little bit of some highlights, some listener favorites, my top 10 personal lessons that I've learned. I jotted them down. And a little bit about what's next and what's to come. So should we do this thing? Yes, we should. Okay, so a few thank yous to start off with. I want to go back 1 year and I want to honor our launch team. Were you part of the launch team? The OGs? Okay, this launch team really set the tone. And honestly, I don't know of any other podcast that has done it the way that we did it. We had a Zoom, we had giveaways, we had over 100 people on the podcast launch Zoom that hadn't even heard 1 minute of a podcast yet. And they still joined forces, joined arms across the world, and we did this thing. And so you really set the tone. So I want to thank you. If you were part of that original group, you were absolutely the catalyst for everything. I want to honor our Facebook community. Wow, over 1,200 people in our Facebook community. And honestly, other than some recaps at the beginning, we didn't do a whole lot, but recently we have got it going on. We are vibrant in there. There's a lot of fun. So we've had everything in there from sleep challenges to steps challenges to spring cleaning challenges. And we've really wanted to make it a place where we can connect and enjoy this journey together. There's been discount codes in there too. So make sure that you are part of our Facebook community. You can, of course, catch that in the show notes if you need to. I also want to honor those that have been behind the scenes with us. Oh my goodness. It's a scary place to have someone like me doing this podcast because we do not edit it. And so whatever happens, happens. So our behind the scenes team is on it. I've got to shout out to Andy, who has freely and graciously and selfishly worked on audio from literally around the world. He has a full-time job with TikTok, the other TikTok. And he has edited shows on our audio levels. I mean, from you name it, from the Olympics trials to Dubai to anywhere. And we're welcoming another person to the team, William, who is also helping out with some audio parts so that in the future, moving forward, we can even be better. Ruth, who does our graphics and branding, she's had a little bit of extra work going on lately. I'll tell you more about that later. And my very own Liz, she was even on the show, who does our weekly recap videos. I don't know how she does it, you guys. I don't know how she takes 30, 40 or more minutes of content that's all amazing and breaks it down into 1 minute and 30 seconds. But she does it week in and week out. And her awesome husband, French, which is what we nickname him, he gives some shout outs too, what he really loves an episode. Okay, and of course, I want to honor our guests that have been on. Oh, what a treasure trove of wisdom and brilliance they have brought. And if you know somebody and you're thinking, gosh, they would be the perfect fit for us, because there's an us here, then absolutely continue to send them my way. I'm so thankful. They have given countless hours of their time to pour into you. And I know so many of you now follow their podcast or follow them, and that's the whole idea. And lastly, I want to honor you. Yes, you. If you've reviewed our show, again, got a shout out. Go to Apple Podcasts, click that 5 stars, give us like a sentence or two review. If you've shared it on your social or with a friend, if you've posted about it, or even if you've listened, you are why I do this. You are who I think of when I think about topics. You are who I try to just speak directly to, not all collective you, but you individually. So thank you. Okay, so looking back and reflecting on this podcast and the evolution and the mission that we've been on. So many of you know that we started because I had a random lunch session with a girlfriend, Vanessa. Okay, if you're watching on YouTube, let's show you. I have a picture. It was August 31st, 2023, when Vanessa and I grabbed a quick lunch. Here's the picture, and I will post it in our Facebook community. If you're just listening, don't worry. And we snuck it in, and sitting at that lunch, I'll never forget, towards the very end, she looked at me and she said, "Have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" And I said, I love listening to podcasts. I love podcasts. Sure, why not? I mean, I'm not kidding you. It was about as simple as that. It really was, which is hilarious looking back now that I know what I know. Okay, so thank you, Vanessa. I will be eternally grateful for this platform, for this opportunity to make incredible connections with people personally, and then to share so many things with the world. So here she is. She's who's to blame. My dear friend, Vanessa. We have kids the same age. They both play soccer and volleyball. We get to see each other. We do life together. And she is such a tremendous blessing, along with her business partner, Shayna, that many of you know as well, the Budget Besties. We'll talk about them just a little bit more in just a minute. So I do want to take us back to where it all started, and it was that lunch. So if somebody invites you to lunch, you never, ever know what might happen. It might be scary, and it might literally change your life. So the original vision for the podcast was just to share some tips and some tricks that I have learned in 2 decades of working with women, working with myself, understanding the essence of time management, understanding where it really comes from, how to best have that perspective, especially when you have a lot of other things going on in your life. And I also thought, well, I'll just have a few friends share their wisdom too. And some of the things that has evolved to include, of course, amazing guests, including now, if you've noticed, I now have women that I didn't even know a year ago. I am meeting them through podcasting communities and branding communities and word of mouth. And so how cool is that I have made some great new friends from coast to coast that I have now been able, of course, to share with you guys. We had a mastermind, our first ever mastermind, super successful, 90 days. We had some incredible women go through our mastermind programs, plural. Wow. We have had mompreneur mentoring and coaching, of course, that is still actually going on right now with some awesome clients. And I just think that this is incredible, and here's why. Are you ready for a statistic? I share them sometimes. Guess what? 90%, 90%. So 9 out of 10 podcasts do not make it past episode 3. Yeah. So some people might go to lunch and they might talk to a friend like Vanessa. They say, oh, that sounds like fun. And then reality sets in. That's right. Of the remaining 10%, okay, 90% of those don't make it to episode 20. So we have it going on. Somehow, some way, thanks be to God, here we are, 80 plus episodes in, still going strong, and we have so much more to cover. We've got so many more things to talk about together. We've had a 100-year-old and a 14-year-old and even a Guinness Book of World Records holder, a best-selling author, and we all have had something in common. We've all had a story to tell, and we make time for that, don't we? I also have learned so much from my clients throughout this year. They have stretched me and made me so much better, which reminds me, here I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this every week, that I want to gift you, my listeners, a free call. The link is in the show notes. You can find it on my website, calliebrigham.com, or just DM me if you're like, where is that link? I want to book a free call. Now, this is the caveat. The free call is for ambitious, driven individuals that want to be at the top of your game without burnout or guilt, and you're looking for a time management coach to do that. So if you're like, if I just had this piece fixed, what are we talking about? Like, if I just understood where my time is going, if I just had a better routine, if the people around me just understood a little bit more what I needed from them, if I just was able to delegate a little bit and automate some more, if I just understood a little bit more about myself and why certain times are better for me than others, if I just had some accountability. Get it? If that is you, you can book a free interest call with me. It's a little connect call that we can have, and we can just see if this is something that you are looking for. I'm opening up a few more spots for the first of the year. So let's chat now, and then we can see if that might work for you. Okay, so let's move on to some highlights, some listeners' favorites. Okay, so here's the deal. I put a poll and I asked, what were your favorite episodes of the past, again, 80 plus episodes? And then I did some due diligence and I looked at the analytics. Yes, fancy schmancy. So besides my grandma Deedle, my mom, and Maddie, and our intro episode, actually our intro episode, interestingly enough, has had the most downloads. That's a given. Would you like to know the number one most listened to episode? It is, drumroll please, here we go. Someday we'll have fancy special effects and everything. Episode 33, Miranda. Miranda Rains, our expert on all things style and fashion and clothing. We were learning how to be a blessing when it's time to move something out of that closet. We learned what to honor our bodies with and really what was trending. So right before I recorded this, I left Miranda a message. I said, girl, I just want to shout out number one most listened to episode. That's saying a lot. And I think it also means that we need to have her back. Okay, so now we're going to have a little fun for a second. I have an exercise for you to do. You might need to pause, or if you listen to me at 1.5 or 2.0, which I totally understand, I listen to all my audiobooks and podcasts really sped up, even YouTube videos. You might need to slow me down because you might want to take a note or two as I recap our episodes popcorn style. Okay, so I'm just going to run through them, but here's the reason. Of course, I want to honor and celebrate each one, but I want you to make a note of one thing that you are going to implement this week from a favorite episode. So you're like, oh man, I did remember. I did hear that. And I never really did do that. But that is the one thing. This is how I'm going to celebrate the 1-year anniversary, by doing the one thing from that episode. Or you can instead, if you're newer to the show, you can write down an episode you're going to listen to for the first time. Or you might need to re-listen to it. All right. I kind of feel like a first timer. I'm going to re-listen to it. So hold your horses. Here we go. I'm going to go through our episodes. Are you ready? I want you to take your note and I want you to decide, okay, which thing am I going to implement that I have not yet, Or what am I going to go back and listen to? I'm not going to give the episode number. Well, actually, I'll give the episode number just for reference sake, but I'm going to go fast. Are you ready? Okay. So 1 was 5 things that time management is not. So if you get it twisted, go listen to that one. 2, 5 things time management is, in my opinion. Episode 3 featured Angie, our military and solo mom most of the time, talking about having a support system. So if you're a solo mom, single mom, you're going to want to listen to that. Episode 4, guilt-free holiday, how to have grace, guardrails, and gratitude. So here we are, coming back into the holidays. Number 5, having 3 intentions. And so I talked about my journal and how I do that. And yes, there's still a little tease on that. So stay tuned. Number 6, Chelsea, talking about when you give your time to someone else, what that means and looks like, and how to wear a lot of hats in life, and that we don't necessarily want to give away our time, do we? Number 7, season-proofing your schedule. How to season-proof your schedule. So again, here we are a year later. That might be really good to go back and listen to. Number 8, brain drain. So that's always available for you in the show notes if you want that download. Number 9, Molly, my therapist girlfriend, talked about family boundaries during the holidays. Again, good to re-listen. 10, weekly plan for introverts and extroverts. So maybe customizing that depending on where your energy is. Speaking of that, number 11, Christy, knowing your types of time and your energy during those times. So good. Number 12, weekly plan fails. 5 ways you fail to plan. Number 13, Randy, talking about cystic fibrosis and a life living, deciding yes to one thing means no to another, and how to have energy management. Next was number 14, cradling versus juggling. This is a big thing I've been talking about lately in a lot of content with my clients. Number 15, my friend Karen, navigating your child's senior year. Oh, brain's a sophomore. I'm almost there. Number 16, having a word of the year. I was just thinking about that this morning, prepping a podcast episode for that as well. Number 17, the budget besties. Here they were, Vanessa and Shayna, talking about money and time. 18 was about habits. Who and what do you want to be? 19, Chatney with expectation conversation. Again, we'll have that in the show notes for a download for you. Number 20, habit stacking. How to max out your habits. Number 21 was Grandma Deedle. She was 99 at the time. Now she's 100. 22, procrastination. Number 23, Emily, my girlfriend, on organization. So if you need to organize your house, she is my personal organizer. Number 24, a surrender prayer and what to do when your day goes off the rails. Number 25, Caitlin, self-worth and your schedule. Number 26, a bug me list. Number 27, my friend Heather B, on success and your schedule. Number 28, delegation. Simple and powerful. Number 29, Kaylee, she talked about how to automate to liberate and how to have that entrepreneurial life and time balance. Number 30, the famous how can I. Number 31, Erin, how you can have it all and be present and look down at your feet and be where your feet are. Number 32, self-talk, schedule, skills, and systems. We call those the 4 S's or the 4 D's. Deception, distraction, discouragement, or dysfunction. Number 33, there was Miranda. Number 34, accountability. Number 35, Reagan, on dancing and the rhythms and practical tips for your life, especially if you're a mom. Number 36, we got into evening routines. Number 37 was Liz talking about social media. Number 38, we honed in on sleep. Number 39 was my friend Dawn, seasons of life. Number 40, where to start with time management. So that's a good okay, let me go back to the basics. Number 41 was my mom talking about what would she say to her younger self. Number 42, mom guilt. Number 43, Cherise talking about restoration and rest and rhythms. Number 41, we started our spring cleaning challenge. Number 45 was my friend Pamela, who is the Guinness Book of World Record holder. So cool. Number 46, we talked about a spring cleaning calendar. Number 47, my friend and my honorary auntie Kendra talking about packing and traveling. That was a good one. Number 48, if only. Number 49, Alex talked about digital organizing. Number 50, time management tips, including being present. Number 51, Jana talked about how to deal with ADHD and time management. 52, we finally, we're ready for our morning routine. 53 was Nikki talking about kitchen pantry, meal organization, meal plans, all that fun stuff. We talked about negative triggers in 54. Linda talked about in 55 leadership and priorities. We talked about positive triggers in 56. Lindsay, who's a therapist, in 57 talked about mental health. Number 58, subtraction, the yes, dang, no, yay principle. Number 59, how to handle burnout. Number 60, Katie, who's a nurse practitioner, talked about perimenopause. Woo, we got serious on that. Number 61, the one where I took my own advice about my schedule. Number 62, Crystal Hunsucker, night routines and technology ideas. 63 was automation. 64 was Katie talking about gathering and hospitality. 65, 66, 67 were all for mompreneurs. So go check that out. Number 68, we have the Say It Southern girls on, 2 Southern besties. So much fun. Number 69 was Brittany talking about the Enneagram and time management. 70 was how to be the CEO of your work life, not the admin. Number 71, we had Cassie talking about nutrition. Number 72 was my Say Yes speech that I reshared. Number 73 was Chanel, who was one of our masterminds, and we talked about the be, do, have, and just a peek behind the scenes there. Number 74 was when good routines go bad. Number 75, Megan talked about a Sabbath. Number 76, we talked about mentorship and the importance of mentorship. 77 was HDK, my girl Heather, on leading yourself well. 78 was the little tip of while I'm here. 79 was Shauna talking about fitness and just kind of getting yourself in gear, especially in those 40s and above. Number 80, I talked about moving Sunday tasks to Fridays. Number 81 was my girl Maddie, teens and time. And of course, Michaela talking about our owning your night, our night journal. Whew! We did it. Okay, I wanted to honor each and every one. Will we do that every time that we hit a milestone? I don't know. But that was important to me that I share with you those. Did you pick your one? Did you pick it? Okay. As we wrap this up, I want to tell you a few lessons and personal lessons that I learned over the year. Number 1, just start. If something is in your heart and your mind, just begin. I'm so glad I had a little flashlight instead of a floodlight, because had I known all the things and the techie things and the things I was going to need to learn, I would not have done it. But I just decided to take a deep breath and go for it, and that my little flashlight would light the way one step at a time. So if there's something in your heart, I challenge you today, start it. Number 2, seek out wisdom. Again, Vanessa and Shayna and so many people, I did not love asking for help, but I did it. And I'm so glad that I did. And that's actually number 3. So seek out wisdom and ask for help. I'm combining those, number 2 and number 3. Number 4, you can do hard things. Oh my goodness. I remember one of the little techie pieces of getting Apple Podcasts to approve my graphic. I mean, for crying out loud, how hard is that? And finally, I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And I finally did it. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I think that was one of the first times I had some tears, because I was like, that is hard, but you can, I can, we can do hard things. Next is the law of reciprocity, the law of reciprocity. When you champion other people, oh my goodness, it comes back to you. If you'll notice, when a guest is on the show, I am all about her and what she can do. It's not about me, you guys. Never has been about me. But when I champion her, I know the law of reciprocity will come back for blessings for me and for you too. I've also learned that time management is a super important topic. People like to talk about it. It is very valuable. I'm so glad that we honed in on this. Next, share yourself with the world. Don't be shy. You have a story. You have expertise. If you know one thing more than the person standing next to you, you are the expert. Share what you have. Share your stories, share your content, share it with the world. Next, number 8, you can always find time for what matters. I did not have an opening in my schedule for podcasting, especially when I was doing 2 podcasts a week for the first, 9 months. I did not have an opening in my schedule, but I knew that this was going to be a legacy. I knew this was going to be a connection. I knew this was going to be something big, and guess what? I found time for it. You can make time for what matters to you. Number 9, cherish and honor your family. What a gift that they have not only said go for it for this, but they've also been on the show. If nothing else, I have recordings of my grandmother, my mom, my daughter, and some of my very best friends that I can have forever that are so priceless to me. And then number 10, surrender to God. Because I would not be sitting here if I did not, prior to a year before, open up my hands and walk around my home with my hands open saying, I surrender, fill my hands with something, and here we are. So here we go. What's next? Well, I'm excited that what we have in store is going to be even bigger and better. So some people are coming back. Dawn Barton is back next week. I'm going to tell you all about what it's like to be at one of her retreats. If you've seen that, she's back. Vanessa and Shayna, the budget besties, they're going to be back. The word of the year, it's going to be back too. So already be thinking. If you've heard of the concept polish the present, take note. That's coming. My new social media guru friend, Mara, is coming up as well in the new year. And most importantly, here we go. Are you ready? We are doing some rebranding. I'm leaving a few clues, like little breadcrumbs for you. And I'll continue to do that until we have our relaunch at the beginning of 2025. But just know, the theme will not be about being perfect with your time management. It never has been and it will never be. But it will be about perfecting it. So we're still going to have our same time management, great content, just rebranding a little bit. And I'm going to encourage you to keep engaging with me, suggesting new contacts and topics, both people and topics, and sharing this podcast with other people. So let me reiterate my gratitude for each and every one of you and your role in this year of growth. If I've said it once, I'm going to say it 100 more times. Please leave those precious reviews. Share this podcast with a friend. Follow us on social media. I love the personal connection that we get when we do things like that, and I so appreciate and value that. So I just wanted to share and kind of close on what has been the mission of TikTok this past year and then this next year moving forward. So our mission is to empower you to be at the top of your game without sacrificing joy, mental well-being, without sacrificing your dreams, your goals, who you are, balance if you want to use that word. And we do that through honest conversations, practical strategies, a little bit of humor, and we want to create a space where you can both find the tools and the encouragement to manage your time effectively, prioritize what really matters, and embrace a life that is perfect-ish, right? Thriving without the pressure of perfection. I want to make each episode a blend of real stuff, real talk, but actionable tips and inspiring stories to remind you that you're not alone in navigating the complexities of business and family and personal life. So whether you're mastering one small habit, refining a routine, or setting boundaries that honor your energy, we are here. We exist to support you on your journey towards a life that feels aligned and purpose-driven. No burnout, no guilt, just a little closer to perfect each day. Thank you guys. What a year. And now, what a next year in store. As always, God bless you.
Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.